All right, I will say it. I liked the in-season tournament. I really did. It was fun. It was good competitive basketball in November. I think a lot of people, because the Lakers and LeBron won it, are going to discredit like the meaning or importance of it. I don't think it actually means anything. Like in the grand scheme of things, you should not ever use like in-season tournament stats or, championships with heavy quotations as any sort of like boost to a player's legacy. I don't think it actually matters, but I don't think that was ever really in jeopardy. I don't think anyone was ever going to look at the in season tournament as like, all right, this is how I'm going to push the LeBron GOAT case. Like, no one's taking that seriously. But I will say this, if you didn't want your team to win it, you're lying, pretending that this meaningful game of basketball was not entertaining and all of this like disingenuous shit that's happening. Because at the end of the day, I think we can all agree that it was fun. The Pacers, great team, glad that they got some shine. LeBron still being able to be LeBron, especially in that championship game. I mean, he was on fire, just lights out, pull up threes, like driving to the basket. Like he got where he wanted to get to. Inspiring basketball from him. AD went off too. That like clip of him, like the snarl on his face, that was crazy. So if you don't think the players care, like I don't know what to tell you. They got to go to Vegas. They got 500K to win, and you get like increments smaller than that. The further that you go, right, closer and closer to that 500K. Even if you don't get it, you still are incentivized to win. I do think that there's one problem with the in-season tournament just as a whole, and as this is kind of like a review for the in-season tournament, it would be, disingenuous of me not to mention, but that court was ugly. Like the tournament itself, like those courts were not great to look at, but the court that actually like the finale, that's the court you're running. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. I didn't love most of the jerseys that they did this year. I think they're a lot simpler, and it's because Nike has to push them out like pretty quickly. A new jersey every single season, you're going to run out of ideas fast. So I don't really blame them, but the courts are atrocious. I mean, I saw better designs on Twitter, and that says something. Like they just put big logo at the center, like kind of how they used to with the NBA Finals, and then the court was just a normal parquet. Overall, I'm not gonna go into a huge rant about the courts, but especially for the like final game, you couldn't have come up with something a little bit better. But that's just me. It is absolutely hilarious that the Lakers won this. Like just from a narrative standpoint, that is the team that just always seems to win these like really bizarre situationships. Like the bubble, obviously, and now this, like just the memes that are created specifically from the Lakers and LeBron winning these things. And it's just funny. I will say this though, I do think the champagne popping is a little corny, but you know what? They won. They can celebrate however they'd like to. At the end of the day, that's a nitpick from me. I just know that if the Celtics won it and I saw Jason Tatum popping a bottle of champagne, which is a little different because he doesn't have a championship yet. LeBron has four. He's been to 10 finals. He can do whatever he wants, right? Realistically, I do think that, the Pacers had won it, people would still have made fun of them. I don't think it's just Laker hate, but I do think that because it's the Lakers, they are probably, diminishing the value of winning said tournament. But again, the Pacers aren't exactly contenders. So that kind of shows, all right, this is not as valuable as the actual NBA finals. Okay, it's fun, it's meaningful basketball, but it's not a distraction. And I think that was my concern when we first got pitched this idea, is like, oh, it's a distraction from the regular season. But no, it's not a distraction at all. It's actually getting people interested in basketball for a longer portion of the year. Like most people don't have to tune in until like February when every team's making their late season push for the playoffs and then all the seeding happens. Like you have people really invested in basketball in November and December. Like you're doing something right. So in that regard, I think it's a phenomenal first start. We'll see if they keep it around, but I think Adam Silver recently, other than the All-Star game, has had now two good additions with the play-in tournament and now the in-season tournament. Overall, I think you could do a little bit better with the court design. You could definitely change the tiebreaker. That was one problem, was the point differential thing, because now there's all these teams where the sportsmanship piece of it goes completely out the window. Like you have the Celtics trying to qualify and win their, individual bracket by, hacka shacking Andre Drummond in a game where they're up 30. Like that's the one critique, if there is one, that's like super valid about this tournament, is like the type of basketball that it is creating. If you can find a different tiebreaker that isn't point differential, I think you're really going to see a lot more support. And as long as they just keep pushing it, they keep advertising it in the coming years, I really don't think this is that big of a deal. I think it was a really cool experiment. I think it worked out well. And overall, no harm, no foul. It was pretty cool, again, to see meaningful basketball being played towards the very beginning of the season. And the NBA loves their ratings; they love that extra money. But it's actually worth doing. It gives the players more money. I'm sure the staff, although I'm not really sure if the coaching staff is rewarded. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. It's a cool thing that the NBA did. And, everyone kind of has grasped the concept of it by now. I think it had a little bit of a shaky start where not everybody really knew what was going on. So I think next year it's going to be a lot better. And if it continues to make those like tiny tweaks and improvements, at the end of the day, I mean, who cares? It's fun basketball. It's fun little competitive in-season tournament. It's not anything to be worried about, and I think it's a great addition for the NBA in the future.